off. Today is day 189 of the year of streaming and learning to code. We are continuing on here at freeCodeCamp with, I'm actually really not even sure what section we're in right now, but something about design. No, when we ended last night, it said we were going to take a hiatus from the cat photo app. We get to look at something new. So what is that said new activity? So line something. How's our page? Create a Bootstrap headline. That's what we actually need to do. And I saw jQuery Playground here. However, we're not actually getting into jQuery until this next section. How many sections do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Wishful thinking. We've had a long day. I'm not sure if we're going to tackle all of this tonight. Maybe break it up. We've got a weird schedule for tomorrow. Yeah. So maybe we'll do a larger chunk, like a 60-40 split. That way we can knock out a quick stream tomorrow. And we'll figure it out as we go. Maybe we'll get sucked into all of the glory that is Bootstrap and jQuery. Anywho, let's see how this plays out for us, shall we? And you know what? Before we commence, let's do a quick double checking. We have mic audio, good. Webcam, little kitty to our side. What else do we need? freeCodeCamp, chat on our phone. We are golden. We are all set. All right, from the top. Wrong section. We finished up line up form elements responsively with Bootstrap, which we did last challenge. We'll do for a cat photo app now. Hope you've enjoyed responsive design. Yeah, it was entertaining and insightful. Look at that. Little kitties running around. Okay, doing cat stuff. Okay, so that's where we left off last night. We are diving into said new section. Here we go. Breaking new ground. Day 189. From the top, create a Bootstrap headline. Now let's build something from scratch to practice our HTML and CSS and Bootstrap skills. We'll build a jQuery playground, which we'll soon put to use in our jQuery challenges. To start with, create an H3 element and the text jQuery playground. Okay. H3 element. H3. H3. There should be a slash involved. jQuery playground. Ta-da! Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-die. Color your H3 element with the text primary Bootstrap class and center it with the text center Bootstrap class. All right, so we're going to do class equals text primary followed by text center. Fascinating. And run it. You've got the touch. Green check mark, onwards. So this is where it brought us in earlier. House our page within a Bootstrap container fluid div. Now let's make sure all the content on your web page is mobile responsive. Let's nest your H3 element within a div element with the class container fluid. Okay, something regarding fluid and an H3 and a div. Two divs walk into a bar, right? What? I think it'd help if I were to actually focus on what the instructions were saying. Because really, I'm just kind of reading them. It's, you know what it is? When you're playing The Legend of Zelda and there's the there's the bolded words in the text, you just kind of go on like autopilot and read, and it's like you kind of drown out the specifics and you sort of focus on those bolded, highlighted words. That's what I'm doing here. That's what it's been. That's how it's been since Code Academy, really. It's just, it's all noise, something about a div and a container fluid, and there's another div involved with an H3 and some other div, right? You know, I don't have all the specifics. Wrong. I do have all the specifics. The interest isn't there. They need to have the instructions in a story. That would help. You know? Mr. H3 and Mrs. Div go down to the container fluid store. Like that. That's way more engaging. Also, why the hell is everything highlighted? There we go. God. Our Gen 1 trackpad is just the little footer button things. They don't release, so when they just click, they just stay depressed. And that's why everything stays highlighted forever. I think we've gone over that before. We are procrastinating. I don't know why. Nesting. Right, nesting. Little cat, your ears are in the way of my wristal elbow area. There we go. Alright, we're nesting H3 in a div. There we go. There we go. Took long enough, right? All we had to do was type div. Painful. Copy. Here's this. And we're slashing. And we're giving this the class container fluid. I'm gonna steal it. I'm sorry. We're gonna highlight. I know. Bad times, but after a long day and sitting in traffic, win in rum, right? There we go. Container fluid. Let's give that a try. They're happy. A winner is you. Onwards. Hopefully we can keep the momentum. Okay, create a bootstrap row. Now we'll create a bootstrap row for inline elements. Create a div element below the H3 tag with a class of row. Create a div element. All right. Single line div element. Like both div 2, 1, and 2. Like that. They're both sleeping there on 4. Doesn't that seem slightly odd to anyone else? I guess this is going to lead somewhere and it won't be so strange, but in the meantime it feels odd to me. Create a div element below the H3 tag with a class of row. Class equals, and we're rowing, and we're rowing. The town is now red, and Steven is now confused. Or still confused. Split your bootstrap row. Okay, now they've put a gap between it. Cool. Now that we have a bootstrap row, let's split it into 2 columns to house our elements. Create 2 div elements within your row, both with the class column extra small 6. Okay, so let's do 2 divs, 1 and a div and copy and something. Copy 2. Oh god, oh god, oh god. This is how it ends. This is how it ends. That gets a slash, and this gets a slash, and there's some spacing issues. And another indentation for this guy, because line 9 needs a good indentation. And we're classing. Class equals column extra small 6. Yeah. We can highlight this guy. You know what's fascinating? It's basically summerish. And it's We're nearing midnight. Eventually, it's 11:14, 11:15, and it's hotter than hell in our room. Yeah, I think we should all collectively be aware of the heat level right now, and it's disturbing. So, not exactly pleasant. But nothing, temperature nor weather, will delay the year of streaming and learning to code. At least not for the last 189 days. What are we doing inside the divs? Aside from reflecting on the awful heat index we're dealing with. They're happy, storm the castle. We were just setting up the elements. And the columns, we were setting up the columns. That's what was going on. Create Bootstrap Wells. We're digging wells. Bootstrap has a class called Well that can create a visual sense of depth for your columns. Nest one div with the class Well within each of your column extra small 6 div elements. What? Who's putting a well where and how? Bootstrap has a class called Well. Great. It does something visually. Nifty. Nest one div element with the class Well within. Okay. So we're adding another div inside the divs we just made. This is worse than Clue. I don't know what's going on here. Div. Where's Tim Curry when you need him to explain everything? Div. And this gets a well now, supposedly. Class equals well. I can only... Oh my god, it adds depth. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, we just birthed a well. That's how it happens in the wild. And now we know for ourselves this is how it works. Fascinating. Oh god, I did something stupid. I copied something, or we're get Command Z. Bad, Steven. Bad. Okay, we were able to undo it. Well number 2, or we. Whatever works. Okay, 2 wells. We've got them. Twin wells. Born minutes apart from each other. They're in another castle. That's how I feel right now, that we're exploring the wrong area. Add elements within your Bootstrap wells. Now we're several div elements deep on each column of our row. This is as deep as we'll need to go. Now we can add our button elements. Nest 3 button elements within each one of your well div elements. Wow, we are in deep inceptionally. We are on many inception levels below the surface here. That's what's happening. So 3 buttons. 1 with a house made of straw. Another made of brick, and so forth, and however those houses play out. Something about something button, right? I don't remember all the specifics of the button element. I don't think it's self-closing. I think it's just a regular thing. It's just a regular tag. It's just a button tag. Don't overthink it, Steven. This is where it goes from becoming a 30-minute stream to a 3-hour stream, and we are trying to prevent that at all costs. Button and button. Yes, look at that. Look at that. Now, do we do... Isn't there a class BTN or something like that. Maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's just do the 3 buttons and call it a day. Shall we? Copy. 1 and 2. How come this one lined up and the other one didn't? Temperamental button. It's always the middle. The middle button, right? The middle child. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful. Everyone has 3. Each of our twin wells got 3 button gifts to play with. 1 for the Guinness books, I guess. If that's how they feel about it. I'm glad we've survived this long. Apply the default Bootstrap button style. Now we're getting into the BTN stuff. Bootstrap has another button class called BTN Default. Interesting. I don't think we used the BTN Default last time. What did we use? Was it BTN and button? Maybe it was default. I can't remember. I know because it was BTN and BTN something else. And there were different ones. Primary and was it delete, danger? Something like that. Not important. Now we're dealing with default. Apply both the BTN and BTN default class to each of your button elements. Since we have 6 of them, we're going to do it once. Alright? We're going to do it once, because that's just... Oh god, not if we destroy our code. Bad, Steven. Command Z. Whew. Not good. Not good. We can tell that we're getting ever closer to midnight by the more and more mistakes that happen. Something about BTN. Yes, yes, beautiful. BTN hyphen default. Good. And we're copying this and dropping that in 6 times because, yeah, it's what we do. There's this and that and this. Are they happy with that? Run test. Boom, passed with flying colors. More of like grazed by with at least 1 color, right? Not exactly graceful. Okay, from the top. Hey, it's Topher. How you doing, Topher? Hopefully your evening is going well on what day of the week is it? Saturday. Ta-da. Hopefully your Saturday at 11:23 is going swimmingly, right? That's all one can hope for. Speaking of hope, and whether it's there or not, let's try and tackle this next section, shall we? Create a class to target with jQuery selectors. Not every class needs to have corresponding CSS. Sometimes we can create classes just for the purpose of selecting these elements more easily using jQuery. Give each of your button elements the class target. All right, let's do copy you. And we're copying, and we're copying. They said the buttons. Let's copy it with a space. That way we can just jam it in there. And 1, and 2, and target for you. Beautiful. And we're running the test. Challenge destroyed in your face. freeCodeCamp. Munch on that. Victory is mine. Add ID attributes to Bootstrap elements. Recall that in addition to class attributes, you can give each of your elements an ID attribute. Each ID must be unique to a specific element you've used only once per page. Let's give a unique ID to each of our div elements. Oh, what? No. English, Steven. Read each letter. Let's give a unique ID to each of our div elements of class well. A unique ID to each of the buttons. button ABC and 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Something like that. Remember that you can give an element an ID like this. Div class well ID equals its own thing. Give the well on the left. Give the well on the left. I think this one. The ID of left ID. Oh, and give the well on the right. Ah, the well itself up here, not the buttons. We are not IDing the buttons. We are only IDing the wells. Glad we caught that. Okay, so class yarg. Oh god, you're not dual quotes. So center well, no, left well and right well. Kind of straightforward. Left well, right well. Typical. Left. No, not left. Right. Right well. And we're running. Ah, not class, you big dumb idiot. I was like, why didn't it work? Because it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be ID. Illiterate, forgetful son of a goddamn. Sure. Okay. ID. There we go. Ta-da, shiver me timbers. Yarg. Pirate Steven. Something scurvy. Okay, we made it out of that one. Basic. Yet somehow I managed to mess it up. In true, what, form? Fashion? Something about BDXing in the last 189 days. What are we looking at? Topher. These challenges don't seem very challenging. Yes, agreed. However, it definitely, this is also like a side step, technically. jQuery, I think, will hopefully be getting more interesting. I wouldn't say there is a lot of difficulty here at freeCodeCamp for the stuff they've gone over, but in the deeper sections, where was it? It was... I think this is the one we ended on last night. It's definitely been interesting, though, and how it's broken everything down, I will say. The app is starting to come to life. Right now, we're doing a quick little breather section, kind of a preemptive prologue, if you will. I think it was around here, the create bootstrap row, before we get into jQuery. So they were finishing off kind of what we've learned so far with the responsive design with Bootstrap. And then we're going to be diving into some jQuery stuff. And yeah, good times. And then they've got their projects. So these 3 things, because there's only the 3 items, but those 3 are supposed to take 50 hours. So, like, this is 4 items right here, which will only take minutes. So we are getting there. jQuery is only 3 hours, and this responsive design course is 5. I don't know if it's actually been 5 hours. I don't know if jQuery will actually take 3 hours. Maybe these won't take 50. I don't know if that's 50 hours of a well-trained developer or a novice developer who's learning. I'd assume it would be from the lower side of the scale, but who knows. Anyways, we are so close to conquering our current stuff. I guess we'll hammer out these and then call it a night after we make it through these next couple. And then we can start with jQuery tomorrow. Onwards. Label. Bootstrap Wells. For the sake of clarity, let's label both of our wells with their IDs. Above your left well outside, it's column extra small 6 div element, add an h4 element with the text, hashtag leftwell. I don't know. I don't think it's hashtag. I just think it's hash or ID. Probably ID, I think, would be the most appropriate vocab. Title, whatever you want to call it. Above your right well, inside its column, extra small 6. This guy, give it ID right well. ID definitely feels the best. Let's do left well. ID equals. I'm questioning everything I'm doing right now about my life. Why something seems hilariously wrong or out of place. Above your left well. Above. That would be at least line 6, possibly 5. Inside its column, extra small 6 div element. Aha! Inside the div element, post arrow. Add an h4 element with text, blah, blah, blah. Okay, there we go. Let's get rid of this. Crazy person's choice. I saw the hash and immediately assumed, instead of, dot whatever stuff for CSS, I figured, seeing the hash, I thought of an ID for stuff. So I thought I was doing ID things like so, but that's not the case at all. Just a crazy person, everybody. Just a crazy person. So let's go ahead and do an h2 element, like so. h2, h2. D d d d d d d d. La da 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 d d d d d d d. Left well, that's a 3. Forgot the shift key. Big dumb idiot. Left, good, and well, followed by, we're gonna copy it because we can. Right well. Yes, beautiful, beautiful. And we're running. I think I managed to mess it up yet again. How is that possible? Above your left well, inside its column 6, above our well, inside its 6, add an h4 element. Oh, God. Why? And it's not even like the good version of not following rules. This isn't like breaking the rules to stand up for, to society, to do the right thing. This is just legitimate forgetfulness, like a lack of detail. Dear God. This is just lame. There we go. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Does not feel like it. Topher, H4, right? Right? What is happening? God. Hopefully this plane crashes into a cliff sooner than later. Sweet baby Jesus. We need one of those Indiana Jones endings, Indiana Jones 2, where we just... Everyone needs to get off of this plane as soon as possible via life raft. This is bad times. Okay, the time frames for each section seems arbitrary. I would hope so. I don't know if it... I don't actually think we really adhered to their time frames at all. I think I've actually, as slow as I go and as, methodical and redundant as I am, I think I've actually been coming in quicker, faster than their anticipated times, which is somewhat shocking, but that makes me feel better about those instead when I see the, the courses that are like, 100 hours to complete these 4 things. So we'll see how it goes. How many more sections do we have? 3 more? Oh, God. We only got through 1. All right. Well, 1 since the last tangent where we lost focus. But as we refocus, give each element a unique ID. We'll also want to be able to use jQuery to target each button by its unique ID. Give each of your buttons unique ID. Start with target 1 and end with target 6. Make sure target 1 to target 3 are the left well, target 4 to target 6 are in the right well. IDs like so. We're going to do, I think the easiest way is a space, target, equals, I know copying and pasting is bad, but there's 6 of them and it's the same thing. I feel like if we're doing it once, I know rinse and repeat is important, but there's also a lot of divving and classing. I feel like the general div classing we're doing enough of. Right? We already did IDs somewhere else. Here, see? We're doing IDs again, not target. This is exactly why we should be typing out each one. Bad Steven. Son of a... Right as we're trying to justify copy and paste, it just blows up in our face. Don't even bother. So frustrating. Target 1. Target 1, like so. ID, not target, ID. Target 2, target 2. Okay, we'll do target 3. I'm going to copy the next ones, because that's 3 in a row without totally messing up and burning down the city. Target 3. Okay, I'm happy with that. I can live with that. Copy this, and space, and space, and space. We've got 4, and 5, and 6. Ta-da, running, target acquired, good times. Alright, Hey, Junicus. Hunicus? Junicus? We're gonna go with Junicus. That really depends on how you... just kidding. Wow, we're totally losing it. Thank God we only have 2 more sections. This one and the next one, because our dismal capacity to read is quickly fading. That really depends on you, me, and how far down the hole you want to go. Ideally, I'd like to go all the way down this hole. Yeah, I'm thinking we've conquered Codecademy. I think this is an even bigger undertaking, especially with the 800 hours, whatever the deuce that means, of nonprofit work for the full stack certificate. I doubt it actually takes 800 hours now that we're going over the, this guy right here. Now that we're discussing the potential of the time frames being sort of arbitrary or relative, that's interesting. I thought this was, like, required, like, if it were a sentence, if you will, like, to the T. Oh god, Steven's on a rampage. Yeah, I thought it was like, this is an official, you are contributing at least 800 hours of time, but I guess it's just completing these things. So that's kind of cool. But, yeah, I don't really know. I'm still trying to figure out, I want to learn stuff. That's not helpful. Full stack. I like the layout of what they've got. The front-end development, the data visualization, the back-end, some of the video stuff, but then the full stack development certificate and the interview preparation. Like, this seems like a great path, at least compared to Codecademy. Code Wars is just kind of challenge whatever you can, but this seems like a good process to learn stuff. So yeah, at least after 189 days of being clueless and new to all of this, it seems like a decent path to be on. So, anywho, Topher, why would they teach anyone to write markup this way is beyond me. Such a bullshit lesson that teaches terrible practice. Is it bad times? Because it seems like there's been way more, I want to say, copy and paste kind of activities like this. It's very incremental, like even more so than Code Academy, but I guess the only saving grace is that it's all building on the cat photo app that they were trying to build, whatever the hell that means. So yeah, I don't know if that's good. I'm currently doing that dumb quote generator. It's been like 4 days, and I've been doing a few hours per. I know snail's pace, but I really overdid the project. Made a backend API. I use React. I also use TypeScript, so the time it takes, it's up to you. Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. That's good to know. Yeah, I'm not sure I mean, the pacing seems slightly off. Like, that's what I've noticed. The pacing for, I guess, the lesson content, some, like this, extremely small. Then I'll hit, run test, go to the next lesson, and then it will be giant. Code Academy, content, material, whatever quirks and stuff, at least it kind of like, it started out each lesson, they'd show that it's, 1 out of 14 activities. Like section 1, it'd kind of do like a general overview, but it was all intro terms. And then it would kind of build on itself in the last section. It would be like, tie it all together, it'd be a larger section, and then maybe the very last page would be review. I don't know, the pacing was good. Here, though, it's not quite broken in those official sections, or at least as small and concise. So it's like it's very much like Code Wars, how like the next activity you open could be a really short activity, could be giant. That's my 2 cents on that. Okay. So, God, I am terrible with usernames. You know what? Maybe it's not then A-Z Rudin? No. We'll get it. Maybe it's Vina? No. The Naz Rudin. We're gonna go with that. Welcome. The stuff you're doing, all of jQuery, the basic algorithms, intermediate ones, and advanced, I finished in 2-ish days. The stuff that takes time are the projects. Admittedly, I did get stuck on a couple of the intermediate algorithms. The Nasruddin. Oh. Thank you for that. That is so helpful. Or advanced, whatever the last ones are. Yeah, I saw the advanced ones. That's the other thing. The intermediate to advanced, like, there's a lot of time in the novice stuff. Right here, starting with front end, especially, a lot of just noise. And then it gets to... where the deuce was it? I don't know, but there's all this info for learning, and then it's small sections like this. It's like intermediate. It's a little bit larger. Maybe intermediate stuff. The intermediate challenges are like this, but then it just jumps straight into the advanced concepts. It seems like the knowledge or growth curve is kind of exponential for coding, and I don't know if that's just their site or if that's actually more accurate as far as indicating just sort of the knowledge and how the languages experience-wise grow. If everyone just kind of goes from being novice at something and then just becomes master level if you just begin to learn everything. I could kind of see it happening. But yeah. God, where the hell was it? Maybe it was the front end visualization. Let me see if I can pinpoint it. Because I know it sounds like a crazy person yammering. Aha! Here's intermediate stuff, right? All of this, theoretically, to my eyes, is all basic. Basic algorithms. Look at all this. All that noise. Basic. Intro stuff. HTML, jQuery. We're in there. And then we hit intermediate, just a couple things, intermediate algorithms, and then boom, advanced stuff. And there's not even that much quantity-wise. I realize it takes longer. There's only 4, and that's 150, but you see that? The exponential curve? Are we all on the same page? Anywho. I'm missing only no repeats. Please. I'm missing only no repeats. Please on the advanced section. I couldn't figure out what the heck they wanted, so I skipped it. And for some reason, I don't have Spinal Tap case. If I were learning the code from level 0, I don't think freeCodeCamp would be helpful at all. Really. It assumes too much knowledge to fill the gaps. You know what? That's so weird because, well, Topher, you know, and maybe a couple other people who may have accidentally stumbled into this stream more than once, we started our journey at freeCodeCamp, and they go through, like, the minutia. The best way that I've been able to compare it is that Code Academy doesn't necessarily teach you how to code. What it best did for me was teach me how to read the code. And I noticed there seems to be a gap between the lessons, like the activities. They just like dive in. They're like, oh, just type in a span tag somewhere and then make sure it has an opening span tag and a closing span tag. And they just, like, kind of throw you into the fire and, like, start doing things. And I guess you're just supposed to learn by immersion. Like, I had a Spanish class where the teacher believed in teaching, like, immersion. My Spanish teacher only spoke Spanish. There was never any point. My Spanish teacher never spoke any English. There was no way to translate, aside from, like, hand gestures and pointing at stuff in, like, the glossary of the book or whatever, but they never spoke English. And it's that kind of, like, immersion stuff. They just, like, throw you into the activities. They do kind of talk about what you're supposed to do in the activity. They don't really talk about the why. At least Code Academy kind of talked about the why. Anyways, okay. Learning from 0 fills in the gap. I don't think it assumes knowledge. I think they expect you to read on your own. I figured it was more of a read between the lines, kind of, or that this isn't the first time you'd be coding. So if they recommend something like map, I think they expect you to actually read array and all its functions so you know how it works. That isn't an assumption of getting knowledge elsewhere, question mark. I mean, they want you to read, they won't spoon feed you. Yeah, well, and Code Academy basically did spoon feed, and it was the in-between minutia stuff, the stuff that probably didn't need to be spoon fed, is what Code Academy really harped on. Anywho, we'll continue on with these two. We're so close. It's enough of a tangent from a crazy person like myself. Label Bootstrap buttons. Let's get rid of said map. Just my thoughts after 189 days of bouncing through these novice sites to learn things, right? Label Bootstrap buttons. Just like we labeled our wells, we want to label our buttons. Give each of your button elements text that corresponds to its ID selector. My thing that's bothered me is things like this, is their instructions, and it's happened. I understand when the instructions are kind of vague at Code Wars. It's supposed to be challenging, and there's a lot of room for interpretation. My thing, and Code Academy did have some weird instructions. Most of the time they had examples, though, so you could gauge. But here, though, they don't necessarily always have the examples. But as the instructions, they aren't exactly clear. I don't know if they want target 4, copy, and I know it's a very small thing, but target 4 together for the text, or if they want a space, target 4, right? Like a normal human would write it. But I don't know if they want it nestled together. All they do is just say, hey, take the elements, or the button elements text, and have it correspond to its ID. There's that, they don't specify, and there isn't any example to gauge to. I've run into this exact scenario on where the user is left with figuring out what to do. Aha, my bad, there is an example. Crazy person's choice. I don't know why I never look at the lower section. I just see red and I avoid it. The red X's to the right, my bad. But anywho, aside from that, death. Okay. Let's do target. We're just going to do target and type in the numbers ourselves. Copy 1 and 2 and 3. 4 and 5, 55. It's a very nice earth. 6, and we're running, Okay, and they hate our souls. Look at that. Give your button element. Oh, give your button element with the ID of target 1, the text. Hash, oh, okay, there's supposed to be the hashtag in front. And even when I read the directions, I just kind of gloss over them. My fault, not theirs. Been my own worst enemy for the last 189 days. There we go. We're gonna pump you up. Unlikely. Okay. So, is it an assumption? I mean, they want you to read, they won't speed and food it. I just feel it's here, do this arbitrary cat photo thing using jQuery and Bootstrap. We don't really teach CSS or HTML. And then now do these challenges to build your portfolio. Huh? Yeah, gotcha. So is that what I'm getting into? See, I thought the photo app was going to be like a real thing, you know? Something that I could point to, but now it just sounds like it's just going to be sort of a cat photo app activity that isn't going to build to anything, which is a little soul-crushing. Got any projects? Not yet. I mean, I guess I could jump into the basic ones, but only because I'm a crazy person, I feel the need to do each individual activity beforehand, before diving into the projects. We're getting close. I'm just finishing up responsive design, and then we've only got the small minor jQuery section, and then we've got the front-end development project. So we are very close. Just my personal opinion on freeCodeCamp and my impressions of it. Yeah, no, I definitely feel kind of the same way about it, and I haven't even made it all that far into it. Also, do we have any idea the front-end development certification? What is that? How official is that certificate? To what end are we being certified? Is there like a YouTube video that I can gauge quality, or a Yelp review? Perhaps not. Okay. Yes, and then continuing on. Well, if you look at the 6th test there, you should figure out the space part. Yeah, my bad. Crazy person's choice. I don't know why I just always ignore this section. I shouldn't. Still getting used to their whole site. I barely broke the mold of Code Academy. as I was doing Code Wars, which those two sites couldn't be any more different from each other, by the way. And then to jump back into sort of an activity-based, on a path with structure into freeCodeCamp again. This feels sort of similar to Code Academy, but I guess we can say better, different. Not only the space part, for something else too. Ah, yes, see? You're far more perceptive than I am. You found the hash way earlier than I did. No, the other projects are the things you will point at. And if you're really interested, you can always do the cat album project too. All right, good to know. I will keep my eye out for the cat album projects and the other projects in general. All you need are HTML, CSS, and be okay at JS. Pick a small project and go from there. Remember, no one ever knows everything. What's your end goal? That's the thing. The goal is so nebulous. This isn't as, and it's so strange. It highlights it well, and we'll call it a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing when I have a goal, because I really commit to it. The issue is when there isn't a finite goal, I still commit to stuff. Me coding or streaming, learning to code every single day, is just something to do to kill time until I can stream me playing games on Twitch. I've got my capture card, but my computer sucks. So I wanted to stream something daily in the meantime with the equipment I have, which is my old lifeless Mac Mini, and this is basically pushing its limits. Streaming Code Academy or freeCodeCamp or Code Wars, and just trying to do it daily. So, yeah, I decided, hey, first step, conquer Code Academy, see what I like. I conquered Code Academy. I kind of like the front-end stuff. I think that's easiest for learning visually, seeing the changes you can make for the app, so that's cool. In the end, job-wise, I'd like to have, especially with my past work experience, I'd like to have a better understanding of the back-end data management type stuff, SQL, things like that. But as on the personal programming front, I'd like to have the full stack ability. I'd like to be able to tackle really any point of a project or work with different development teams, front end, back end, whatever. So, and again, I'm not like heart set on turning this into a career like tomorrow. This is killing time in free time, overly committed to, I don't know why I decided and agreed to streaming this for a year with myself, but 189 days later, and here we are. So, yeah, good times, good times. That was the good thing with Code Wars. We picked one language. Code Academy, we learned like 15, 16 different languages. But Code Wars, we chose JavaScript. And we were only doing JavaScript activities and inching our way up. That was good. That felt helpful and useful. Also, Code Academy, each day was a different activity. I like the fact that, at least so far, freeCodeCamp has been building on itself. I know right now we're doing like a jQuery tester, but I think it jumps back to the cat photo app. So I like seeing the one project being built. Code Wars, the focus for the one language, that was cool. The focus for building one project at a time, also awesome here. Okay, what's your end goal? Focus, bro. Yeah, right? Bad times. It's like a cat, shiny colors. As official as free sites can back it up. As official as a free site can back it up. Basically has a little thing that says you finished. They apparently check your projects and evaluate them. How much? Guess it depends. How much? Guess it depends on if you do some of the open source or whatever they do. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So contribute to the community. Gotcha. Now, finally, let's put this last nail in this frickin' coffin and land this bird. It's been more tangent than coding this stream, which is fine by me, but probably painful for others. So let's do this. Use comments to clarify code. When we start using jQuery, we will modify HTML elements without needing to actually change them in HTML. Let's make sure that everyone knows they shouldn't actually modify any of this code directly. Remember that you can start a comment with this stupid arrow in HTML. God, I hate that thing. What happened to the good old days of just being able, you know, the double slash to comment out? Still, I gotta build this stupid spear thing. Don't mind me, just venting after 189 days. It's the worst comment feature ever. Ugh. I don't even know how to program, and I know it's dumb. And end a comment with the other arrow thing. Cool. Will do. So, what are we doing? Add a comment at the top of your HTML that says, only change code above this line. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Only... Where am I putting this? Remember, you can start a comment with blah and end it with blah. Add a comment at the top of your HTML that says, only change code above this line. That is so weird. Well, we'll do what they want. Only change code above this line. I don't get it. There's no code above this line. That's the part that's confusing me. That's what I don't get. There's nothing above this line. They said put it at the top of the HTML. I gotta be missing something. Boom shakalaka? No. Or it should be boom shakalaka with a question mark, right? There's no code above the thing we just commented out. Holy hell. Good. We'll end on a fizzle. That's what we do here at BDX Inc. Dear God. Okay. Let's look at the map. That's really what we were ending on. Responsive design with Bootstrap, jQuery. Learn how to script tags and document ready. We're okay, and we're building on top of it. Those bastards. They could have told us that. They could have given us a hint. Do you see how confusing that is, though? They just throw you into it. Anyways. And now you would write blah, blah, blah. Oh, and how you would write HTTP. Oh, and the arrow. I don't think I'm going to like that either. They want you to set up the next exercise. Lame. Not cool. They should have hinted at it. Anyways, alright, let's land this bird. Thank you again to... We're going to back out of this. Where are we? We're ending after 93 items down. Not too bad. Alright. Thank you again to anyone and everyone who stopped by. We had this evening Topher, of course, Junicus, the Nasruddin, one of those. And who else did we have? I think that was it. Thank you very much for stopping by, chatting. Greatly appreciated. And also thank you to anyone who may have accidentally stumbled in here, whether you chatted or not. Any and all views are greatly, greatly appreciated. We are backing out of freeCodeCamp into OBS. The adventure continues tomorrow with day 190 of the year of streaming and learning to code. Day 89 is ending now. Day 190 on the horizon. We are stopping the stream. Are you sure you want to stop the stream? Hell yeah. Kill it.